All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. If you're looking at your screen, you know, we got 4 thumbs up. We don't have anybody in here yet, though. Wait until we get some people in here.
Nobody here.
And then I'll introduce everybody. There's 7 people.
There's 7 of them. Bam.
There
and
we
it
go.
Just popped up on my computer that we're live, so we're live.
Good. Yeah, it's just popping up on mine too.
Brett, how do you see the comments on this thing?
Well, that's what I'm trying to get figured out here.
On your right side, there's a little tab.
Yes.
It has a little comment.
I see it.
Just push that, and that should pop up.
Yeah.
Nick just commented and said he'd be on in a few minutes.
Yeah, I just got a text message from him. Can you guys see the comments?
Yeah, I can see them. You just gotta push it.
Every time I wake up in a new world every time I do this. Now, Cody,
running.
Cody's belling on us already.
I'm here.
No, I was just going to say this is on my other channel. It's not on my Born 100 Years Too Late channel. And
is this on the View Stories and Tales? Yeah,
and that's what we're trying to use this to go live and stuff. So it's just a little different, format and everything, and we can all kind of utilize it.
Mine shows 12 people now.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, Hillbilly's back.
There we go. I got
back.
Ohio Hillbilly, greetings. Louisiana Hunting, Arizona Traditional Outfitters. Yes, sir.
Hey, I finally figured out how to see the comments. I got it now.
Cool. All right.
I'm not going to touch nothing.
George,
right there in your right corner.
Hey, George, if you look right there where Brett's at, there's like a comment bubble.
Right in the corner, there's a little tiny little gray spot.
Little red dot on it. If you click on it, it'll come up on the side.
Hey, there's Big George Lambert. I think he's over with Jeff. And Jeff is the one I stole the onwards and upwards from. He always commented on my videos, and he'd say onwards and upwards. That's the watchword. Oh, man, that sounds pretty good. So I just stole it.
Yeah, that's Dad. I'm set. Oh, I see his comment. I'm sitting in his recliner right now.
Okay, guys, say if I'm right. The upper left-hand corner is CODY King, right?
That's me.
Upper right-hand corner is yours truly. Bottom left-hand corner is John. Middle is George. And the guy over there on the right is Chris Watson.
He loves that picture.
That'll never get old.
Nope.
I'm going to use it every time.
I should have just used it as my thumbnail on that soap video.
You should have.
Brett, did you get that email?
Which one?
Those are, I don't know, big capital letters. In the comments.
Chris, where are you from?
On the comments?
I live in North Arizona.
Which email?
I've been working down in South Arizona, so I kind of hunt down here in the desert. And it's real close to like Brett's kind of terrain where he's from.
Who? I don't know who you are. I'm sorry. That's a different name than I'm used to.
I hope it's an email with an embarrassing picture of Brett so we could use it.
Yeah. Probably somebody sent you an email. They got a bunch of Nigerian gold they need to bring over. Want to know if you can help cross.
Long as it ain't a request for a paternity test, you're all right.
Yeah, that wouldn't be. I'm way too old for that kind of thing. Here we go. We got We got a fella from down under.
That's the second guy. Who's that? What was the first guy? His name was Mitch, or
about the big Tom.
Yeah, I remember that. That's been a little while ago, right? That you sent that to me. For the last 2 months, I've had some health issues, but I'm okay now. They want to do some work on me. I had some things go wrong, and I've been kind of confused for a while. So, but I feel good now. They got me on drugs.
Time for an overhaul.
Yeah, no kidding. But anyway, well, should we wait for Nicholas, or should we just get started on this deal? Because I need to add.
He'll pop in here in a second.
What's that, Cody?
What is it?
I said, where's George from?
Virginia.
The western side of Virginia. I'm in the mountains of Virginia, right next to the West Virginia line.
You know, he makes that apparent every time.
I think it's because I've had to explain it over and over and over so many times.
When I say southwestern Virginia all the time, people still think, "Oh, you're from the southern part of West Virginia." No, I'm from the southwestern tip of Virginia.
Yeah.
And they still don't get it. I don't understand. I'm next to the Tennessee line. So.
I probably need to start saying like the Shenandoah Valley or something. That would clarify it a little bit. I'm not sure.
I don't know. We got a sign hanging up down here just off the interstate from the house about 20 miles from here that says something about the #1 seller in the Shenandoah Valley. And I thought, well, they hung that sign up a long way from where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we got 26 folks in here. That's pretty good. It's a lot
Where
of people.
Where are you at, Brett? At home?
I'm at my office.
Your office?
Yeah.
Brett's big time now, Cody.
Yeah.
Well, usually he's got that fancy green screen behind him, but today
I did that for a while, and I might move back to that. I fixed up this office. I got a rolling table, and I've got this thing set up. This is the plan. I want it to be able to go live. I think the format's good. You know, you get a bunch of guys on here, and it's interesting to listen to what everybody says. You know.
Hi, Hillbilly wants to know if George is close to the breaks. No, George is not, but I am. I'm a lot closer than George. I'm probably, what does it take to get to the break part? An hour? I'm probably about an hour away.
I'm probably 3 hours north. The break is, Jonathan, you can probably explain it better than I can. I've been there once or twice.
I've never actually even been to the break part, but it's in Grundy County, Virginia, and that's the area where they stock the elk at here in Virginia now.
Elk?
Over in that area. Yeah, they actually put them in Buchanan County, and the last 2 years they've had a lottery. Of course, it was awful funny last year. I think everybody except for one person come from Northern Virginia. That just it's a money racket, I think, because I put in for it this year, and there was a lot more people kind of spread out this year with the elk draw, but they still don't do it where you can see them actually draw. They just come on said they're going to announce it on a YouTube video, and they just get on, and it's pre-recorded, and they tell who the person's name is. They don't show any kind of draw, so I don't like that. But that's where the breaks is at. It's in Grundy County, Virginia. It's kind of around, I guess you would say, close to the western part of West Virginia, and not far out of Kentucky either. So it's in that little area over in there.
So I suppose your wife's name is Cheryl. Anyway, cool. Well, Cody, Nicholas was going to pick your brain about running Bobcats.
He'll be on. He'll be
here in a little bit.
What I would be interested, where's Nicholas live? In Oregon or Washington?
Oregon.
I'm just wondering if those running walkers from South Texas would tree in those big pine trees in Oregon.
I don't know. I heard they can't tree in a couple areas.
They
don't have to. They're so fast they just catch them on the ground before they get to a tree.
Yeah. He proved the way I see it. If the cat makes it to the tree, your dogs are too slow. Man.
You got beat.
No, I from my experience hunting with my South Texas dogs, I've had some dogs locate in some pretty tall stuff, tall to me. But whenever I do tree, I'll have a dog or two locate in some real tall stuff, but the other dogs, it's usually pretty quiet walking into the tree. I don't, for the most part, no, I don't think my dogs would locate in that.
He's saying let me in, but he's not. See, I hope I didn't. I hope this isn't the maximum amount of people.
If it is, I'll buy all out. I'm the guy here that don't have the hounds. So.
Well, shoot. Maybe there is a maximum amount. I didn't know how many people you could put in here or not. Because he sent a text says, let me in. But I don't see that he's... Click on the link again, Nicholas, if you can hear me.
This is a cam.
I don't know. I'm not real sure how many people. I would think
you could sign off to see if it'll let him in. We'll find out.
Give me a second. I'll look this up.
I bet 5's nothing.
I would think.
Well, Cody, for those who don't know where you hunt, you hunt in Texas, right? Nothing but, basically.
I hunt. If you look at a map of Texas, about as far south as you can go.
That's real dry.
To the very tip, and our country's pretty special. It can be the driest, nastiest, dustiest conditions in the country, and it can be just a green rainforest, best conditions in the country. Just depends on what kind of year it is and how much rain we've had.
Well, did you guys get some
for the
good
most
rain this
part?
year?
Yeah. We had some a little earlier on. We had a pretty good spring, but it's about a month ago. Man, it jumped up to 113, 114. And it just baked it all out, and it's getting pretty dry now.
That's the same in Arizona right now. We had a really good spring, a lot of rain. I thought the monsoons were going to come in pretty good, and now it's you blow a tire or drag a chain, you got a fire.
Really?
So
yeah,
we've had a couple of them already. And down here the desert was gorgeous. Oh, green as can be, and then now it's a hellhole. I don't like it. So I live up where Brent made his last video. I live in country like that, pine trees and really high desert.
I think I've seen some of your videos before. Don't you got a girl on there with you quite a bit?
My daughters will come on, Alyssa and Cody Lynn. And,
I just remember talking about somebody named Cody.
Yep.
Or Cody Lynn. So.
But yeah, she's my favorite son. I call her.
1, 2, 3, 4.
But you turn dogs loose right now, and they get 20 yards in front of the truck. You can't see them. They're kicking up so much dust. We're getting bad, and it'll get, sometimes it'll get so dry you can't get the bobcat. I don't care who you are.
There we go.
You're hot. You're hot down there too, are you not?
Oh,
it's hot right now.
108
because we're at
today.
Yeah, we're 111 right now. I think it got up to 118 or 115 this weekend down in where I stay in Phoenix. But it was 90, almost 100 degrees up 6,000 feet. So,
Yeah.
Guys, we will have to make room, I guess. What it told me is that because I have Intel-based Mac, that I can only have 4 guests at a time. It says with Ecamm. I hope I hate to do this. I'm going to fix this. I'll figure out a way because I want to be able to have more people at a time. And
I'm gonna go. I'm the kind of the guy out. I've had hounds, but I don't have them anymore.
I hate to do that.
I'm the guy out. Well, and Nick needs to talk to Cody. I'll watch and I'll be rough and mean on you guys in the comments. You know,
I knew it. I knew he was going to come in on the comments.
Man, well,
but
sorry about that.
George,
you guys that are watching,
George, I think we need to stay. We need to stay back east. We don't need to go out there in that heat and live. That's for sure.
That sounds miserable.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys, Cody. Cody, it's nice talking to you. I'll see you guys. Y'all get Nick on here, and y'all have a good week. And I'll talk to y'all next week.
Sorry about that.
Get you next time, man.
Hey, Brett, don't worry about it, buddy.
Yeah.
I need to get the hound guy here.
I
need to talk to Cody.
I just can't believe he's doing it to a guy with a beard.
No kidding. We ought to kick the slickies off of here.
Not what you're listen, that's not what you're supposed to shame him about. It's the beard. You're supposed to shame him because it's a preacher he's kicking out. That's what you're supposed to shame him about.
Bearded preacher.
What's bad?
Man.
I'm pretty sure George can probably grow a beard, and Cody can grow a beard. I don't think Nicholas can grow a beard though.
Hell, I ain't shaved in 6 weeks.
He's not on here. He'll be on here in just a second. So.
I'll see you guys. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, John. Sorry.
Hey, don't apologize, Brett. It's all good. I'll see you.
Okay. All right. Let's see. How do I do this? Oh, he's gone.
He left.
He gone.
We're going to put him right up there next to Cody.
Hey, guys.
There he is.
I was about to start spamming the comments if you weren't going to let me in.
Well, the Ecamm Live program says you can have 6 guests, or 5 including yourself, unless you're on an Intel-based Mac. And then
Which you are, huh?
Yes. So you can only have 4 guests, including yourself. So
how are you making this happen then?
Well, including myself. There's 4 guests.
We kicked that one guy off.
You kicked somebody off.
Brett kicked Johnny off.
I don't know. Brett told that one guy Nick was going to beat him up if he didn't get off of here, and he just took off running.
Oh, man. Sorry, Johnny.
And he had a beard, too. He fit in.
And he had a beard. And he was a preacher.
I see.
Yeah, and he probably owns it. Wait, does he own a mule, too?
I don't know. I bet
he does. He's just better than me in every way. I get it.
Well, we didn't want to say nothing, but anyway, let's talk about the difference between running Bobcats in Oregon and South Texas. There we go.
Okay.
I'll just sit back and listen.
You're from Oregon, Nick?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's from what I've understood, that's kind of the only country, that has a comparable amount of Bobcats as the South Texas. I've always been pretty curious about y'all's numbers. Y'all got quite a few, huh?
From what I read, yeah, we got quite a few. I think you guys have more. And I recently read that I think Georgia has the highest number of Bobcats.
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
Georgia.
I'll be dang.
I know Florida's got
fact check that, but I'm pretty sure. Yes, don't remember what I was reading, but I might have been looking into other states to move to because of all the BS laws here.
That's where I thought Cody was going about Oregon. I thought he was going to make fun of the liberal part of it for a second.
Yeah, I hadn't got there yet, but
yeah, they definitely don't like us running Bobcats up here, but hey,
they
we
let
still
you
can.
run Bobcats, right? But they don't let you run lions.
Correct. Yeah, you can hunt lions here, but you cannot run them with dogs.
Huh.
Good luck with that.
So,
that's pretty. And what about Washington? It's got some similar in number. Bobcat.
Washington?
Is bobcat hunting legal in Washington with dogs?
It's also, they also banned it there. The only thing you can hunt in Washington with dogs is raccoons. Well, and birds and stuff, but they banned all that a while ago.
I don't get the liberal, and I guess they just haven't got around to banning raccoons yet. But I mean, I wonder how the liberals decide in their mind which animals they want to save and which. I mean, why? It just boggles my mind that don't do that to the bobcats, but you can do whatever you want to the raccoons. I mean, that doesn't seem like a very liberal way of thinking.
It's the group. I think it's the group that puts more pressure at that time. So if it's the cat people putting enough pressure, then they go to that. Maybe no one likes raccoons yet, but I'm sure it's coming because they try to get rid of.
I'm sure it's and then they have to have the public support. So you drive around at night and you can spot raccoons everywhere. You drive around at night, you hardly ever see a lion, and so in their mind, because they don't see them, they think that there's not many of them.
Right.
Yeah. People, they also probably think they're like some kind of exotic, like they think they're more exotic, they got all the spots on them, and like you said, you never see them. So people automatically assume that they're endangered and stuff, when they just really are not. Like, we have a great, thriving population of bobcats here.
Yeah, a lot of people think. I've had people literally post on my Facebook that I should go to jail for killing endangered bobcats.
Right.
Yep. Like you say, they don't ever see them. I can't tell you how many ranchers have told me over the years, "Oh, you can come hunt, but we don't have no bobcats." We don't. Well, I bet you do. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. It really, I can just imagine for anybody, but just imagine the 70-year-old man that started hunting bobcats with his grandpa when he was 5, turning 70 and then being told, "Hey, you can't do that no more." That's heartbreaking.
Absolutely.
That's
how's Texas right now as far as them coming after you for that stuff?
There's been a very big push in the last year to try.
Are they going after dogs or the cat hunting?
They're trying. There's been a big push in the last year to try to help save mountain lions. And from what I've seen, I have not seen anything directed directly towards dog men. A lot of it seems directed towards trappers. But there's one thing. These liberals from these other states, they try to come in, and they try to do to Texas what they had success with in all the other states, like Oregon and California and Washington, and but Texas is just so much private land that it's not comparable. You can't treat the two the same, and they try to come in and do that, and it just doesn't work. But we'll see what they come up with. The state already pretty much turned them down and said, no, we're not doing anything without some scientific research to back it up. And the state's considering a couple different options. They're considering putting like a voluntary where you call to let them know, hey, I killed a mountain lion and this
Quota.
is where I killed it, so they can try.
Right.
Quota. Try to get some data. There's no data. There'll be some studies.
Well,
they're not gonna go away.
And in Texas, I mean, a lion is treated the same as a coyote in Texas, but then also look how long that border is between Mexico and Texas, and what kind of influx.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I have a friend of mine has a ranch down there that I mean, close to that Big Bend country, and they have those Mexican lions coming in there all the time. But it's a
I thought that was I know there's when they're talking about like building the border wall, they were talking a lot about how that might affect their movement, like animals' movement in that region. I don't know. I could see how that would happen, but I still think we should have a border wall. There, I made it political about that.
There you
Within
go.
about like 10 minutes of being on the call.
I guess they're coming after. They've been doing a lot of work trying to take away lion hunting in Arizona. I mean, terrible.
In 17 they came out, and it was HACIS, the Humane Society of the United States. They had a pamphlet that said jaguar, Canada lynx, and mountain lion, which it's illegal to hunt Canada lynx here anyways, and jaguars is illegal to hunt. But they put all these big pictures on it.
But do they have any?
We had
I was going to say.
We don't have Canada lynx here.
Yeah.
So I don't even know why, but they get these women that stay at home in the foofy hoity-toity neighborhoods, and they get out there. And we had a guy that was printing up the exact same flyer almost, but with the right information on it. And he was just hammering these guys. And then a couple years ago, I think 20, they did it again. They come after him again, but we had kind of a leak, and we were warned beforehand. And again, we knocked them down, but it's just false. A lot of it's 90% of it, 75% of it's false information. And they go out there and they spread false information, and and this is where I get in big fights with people, and I'll stand by it every day, is don't post stupid pictures on the internet, because those trolls are from those people, the antis, and they will save every picture of your dog bleeding, pictures of the cat falling out of the tree, or the bear, or the bobcat, and people just keep posting stupid stuff. And our biggest enemy is us, hunters. Deer hunters don't like hound guys. Elk hunters don't hound. It's just a big fiasco. And after they get done with the hounds, just like California, they got rid of the hounds with the lion. And then they went after the bear. And instead of going out and say, you can't shoot a bear, you can't run dogs, they say, you can't run GPS collars, because it's unfair chase or whatever. They just keep chopping at the tree. And sometimes California is just California. That's all we're going to say about that. People, it shouldn't be a ballot initiative. It should absolutely not be a ballot initiative, because only 5% of this country are hunters. I think that's the actual number, real low. It might be millions, but it's only 5%. So you got people out there voting, and the headlines make every bit of just like a YouTube thumbnail, the title. When you go in and vote, and there's a title that says, help save the mountain lion, help conserve the mountain lion, they don't read nothing but that title. Oh, yeah, check. Heck yeah, let's save that mountain lion. And that's people who never hunted. That's people who don't know the facts. That's plain and simple. But social media is killing us. It helps us you got all the podcasts that let people know what's going on. That Howl for Wildlife, that's a pretty good organization because they, but social media is killing us. If people don't understand, and when you tell them you shouldn't have posted that, it's First Amendment, bad, and it's just, it doesn't matter what amendment you think you're protected by. They still going to get the picture of the worst picture you send, and if it has any blood on it, you're going to show it to somebody, and they're going to feel sorry for the big poor bear.
That's what I like about Texas is those Texans, they live in their own world down there. Right, Cody?
What saves Arizona is the commissioners are ranchers.
Yeah.
They know what's up. Period.
Cool.
Yeah, that's and that's a lot of the problem in a lot of them states is, and you see it in all the elections and stuff, but one big town in the state decide the politics for the whole state, and the minute one of those commissioners goes from the rancher to the city boy, it can be over quick. And
I think that's what happened in Washington.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened in Washington from what I can tell, or from what little I've been told. But yeah, it's a tough deal, and part of it, you're 100% right when you say the houndsman's biggest issue is the houndsman, and I don't know how you solve the problem. I don't know what the resolution is, and the sad part about it is that, and I hate to say this, and I hate to sound doom and gloom, but I don't think there's a resolution to the problem. I think it's just going to slowly slip away one state at a time, and I don't know that there's much anybody can do to stop it, and that's one thing that makes Texas very unique is all the private land, and at the end of the day, you have the laws that you can put on the books and you have the laws that you can enforce. And when it's all private land, that's two different things, and you guys that gotta hunt on public land, it's tough, it's a bad deal all the way around.
Here in the East, we've, if you look at a lot of the statistics, like the percentage of hunters versus the percentage of, basically our percentage of hunters is very low, but our percentage of actual anti-hunters isn't terrible high either. But what we've basically figured out we need to target as far as on social media is them people that don't know anything. They're neutral.
And don't care. Well, most of those people don't care, until they see a picture of a baby bear getting ripped apart by 12 hounds that some dumbass posted on Facebook, and now they care. Before that day, they didn't care one way or the other,
Exactly right.
As a houndsman, I have been put in situations that I didn't like. I've seen things that made me cringe. I've sat there and go, dang, that's so. Just, if it does that to me, just imagine what it does to somebody that doesn't know any better.
Exactly.
Yeah. At the same time,
initial,
a bobcat does that to every meat that it eats for its entire life. To another animal. That's nature's
They're
way.
very violent.
Yeah, and but yeah, it's just very frustrating.
Yeah, us here in the bear hunting world, if some of these guys seen what a big male bear does to its own kind, to just cubs. A big male bear will kill the jeebies out of a cub. It's terrible, but but yeah, of course, usually I've noticed a lot of the public, that initial view that they have kind of sets their perception for the rest of their whatever the line they're going to take.
Yeah.
There was a situation where a guy posted he shot a bear out of a tree, and they showed the shot. It wasn't even a big bear. It fell, it bounced, it groaned. They shot it on the ground, and I said, "Hey, man," I just said, "This is not the stuff you need to put on there." I got a lot of messages, private messages, like, "Hey, you're." He literally watched a video where I posted my son farting on camera, and he said he compared that. And I'm all that's, and I ran a cub like 4 miles. It wasn't a cub. A cub, to me, a cub is, I call them cubs because it was like it's an 80-pound bear.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shoot an 80-pound bear. And we treat it, looked like a big German shepherd up in the tree. And I called it a cub, but to me it's a cub. And he said, you chased a cub, probably ran it off his mom. I said, no. For one, I didn't run it off his mom. For two, I didn't shoot it out of the tree. For three, farting thing was funny. I don't know what, and he even said it was funny. I'm not trying to, he wasn't trying to be mean. He was just like, hey, they could, I said, no. I said, there's two kind of people that don't hunt, a non-hunter and an anti-hunter. When you show a non-hunter my video that I chased a bear and let him go, and my son farted, he's not going to become an anti-hunter. When you show a non-hunter a video of a bear getting shot out of a tree bouncing and they shooting it on the ground as it's groaning, that non-hunter is more apt to become an anti-hunter. So it's easier to make an anti-hunter out of a non-hunter than it is a hunter out of a non-hunter.
Yeah. And that's the thing with some of that too, is, and a lot of them guys, they don't, number one, all the guy did was think you were attacking him when you made that comment.
Yeah.
And you weren't, you're trying to help. And I kind of get some of those guys, so here's the problem too. Or not the problem, but some of those guys post a video and it's a long video and they don't know how to edit, and there'll be some in there, there'll be a little clip in there that should have been edited out, and then you say something to some of these guys and they kind of comment back like, well, what do you want me to lie about what we do?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not a liar, I'm, and they just don't have, we as hunters, and like I saw somebody one time that had a video up on the internet, and another hunter just immediately came in and started calling him the effing dumbass and this and that, and kind of like them non-hunters in them videos, you're not gonna convince the guy to go lighter on his videos by the first words out of your mouth being an effing dumbass, so everybody work together, and so many of these houndsmen just, I don't know what it is. There just seems to be so much jealousy and so much nobody tells me nothing. I'm going to do what I want to do, and it's a tough situation that we're in, and especially the future generation. And I'm a firm believer. Facebook and YouTube and all this stuff, a lot of great things have come from it, but the world was better off before it, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah.
Well, there was no ammo. There was no ammo for nobody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the anti-hunters, just because you don't take a video of it doesn't mean it didn't happen, or just because you didn't post the video doesn't mean that it didn't happen. And and I can't remember any videos in particular offhand, but you know, I've seen some hog hunting videos and stuff where it's come on, go shoot the pig, dude. Quit filming, you know, or and that's one thing that always kind of I chuckle about is, you know, anything someone posts, you know, but nobody ever says nothing about the hog hunting videos. There's 10 dogs ripping people's ears off. And the pigs are free game. Everybody hates the pig.
No sympathy for a hog.
No, so I don't piss anybody off no more.
Not much sympathy for fish either.
No.
Yeah.
No one cares if you kill a fish.
Yeah. Hook it through the mouth. Throw it in a basket.
Get to spear them, club them.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Throw them on the boat and let them suffocate.
I've had discussions with people about comparing. So one thing that always confuses people is I'll tell people that, okay, we do tree and free. So we catch the animal in a tree and then we just walk away. And like that kind of breaks people's brains in some ways because they're like, wait, I don't like, why are you doing that then? And I'm like, well, it's kind of similar to catch and release fly fishing. Except I like to argue that hound hunting and releasing the animal is more humane than catch and release fly fishing because we're not actually hurting the animal. We're getting it a little exercise, yes, and that might put some stress on it, but we're not like I think like 50% of fish die after you release them. Yep. So you can use that as an argument. Say hound hunting makes more sense than catch and release fly fishing.
Yeah. Let's go back to that subject you had on your podcast where they have the 100-acre fenced-in areas for hound training. Where was that? Canada, right?
Oh yeah. So they just lifted a ban on training pens. So like coyote and fox pens up in Canada, in Ontario. So yeah, they just it wasn't a full out ban, but basically they had it so no one could apply for a new license. So you have to have a license for these operations, and they were closing. The idea was they wanted them to all close until there was no more left. But somehow the Ontario government, they lifted that ban so people can apply for like coyote pen, fox pen permits now.
Where I was going with that is
where were you going with
that? People are still complaining because it puts stress on the animal even though they're not killing him. And that's that's the big argument for.
They don't think those animals have enough stress on them just being in the wild. Well,
you don't think understand a coon has stress on it? You don't. Raccoon. You don't think a raccoon has stress on it? When it gets in a trash can and the dog comes out of the house and tears him up and he runs off, or a bear gets into a bird feeder in your yard and the dogs come out, like there's no difference.
Or just living in the wild is stress.
And that's their ammo.
Well,
you got a boar that wants to breed you got a boar that wants to breed the female, and he'll kill the cubs, lions and bears.
Oh yeah.
And what pisses me off too is those guys, you know, number one, when this lion stuff in Texas came up, you know, in conversations with different people, it's like I hunt them with dogs, and there's no one that cares more about the conversation. I mean, the conservation of mountain lions than the people on this podcast right now.
Yeah.
You know, where Brett lives, he cares more about making sure there's lions than anyone. Where I live, the same, and each of y'all. And I mean, we have a skin in the game, and so many of these people they want to conserve the lions, but they have no reason to conserve them. And look at California. You know, they made lion hunting illegal over there, and you see them on Ring doorbells on YouTube every other day now. You know, people and Chihuahuas getting killed in neighborhoods,
and the fact of the matter is, lions are still being killed by houndsmen in California, but the government is paying
100 a year.
Yeah. the government's paying these guys to kill them.
It went from an income for the state to an expense for the state, and the lions are still getting killed.
Yeah.
And that's as stupid as it gets. I don't care who you are. That's morons.
It's the same with California or Oregon and Washington. Same thing.
Okay. All right. What kind of dogs do you use, Cody?
I use
this conversation's getting depressing.
Running walkers. South Texas walkers.
Oh, South Texas. So there's a difference.
Yeah, I think there is. I think that if you were to go get DNA tests done on all these South Texas dogs, I think you learn there's a little more than just running walker in there somewhere.
Those other dogs, you get a DNA test, and they come up as like pin dogs, running pins.
Yeah, versus the registered running walkers.
Yeah.
But what do you use over there in Washington, Nick? Oregon.
Well, so I have one like true, like by the books Bobcat dog. He's I don't know the exact blend, but he's a walker. So he's a treeing walker, running walker, kind of West Coast cat dog kind of deal. I don't know very much about his bloodlines, but I just trust my mentor who gave him to me, that he's the real deal. And he's 3 years old, and this last year, everything started clicking in place for him. And then I have, well, this last not this season, but the season before, I had another old walker that my mentor gave me. Her name was Whiskey. She died several months ago. But yeah, so I got started with these walker dogs, but somehow I ended up with a bunch of blue dogs. I have a Cameron blue tick Plum, who is he impregnated my other female, who is a half walker, half black and tan, and they made some really awesome puppies. So I have 3 of those, and I got them started on Bobcats this last year, and we'll see how they do. But they're trailing machines, so I'm pretty excited about them. I hunt the dogs. I just ended up with all these dogs, and I'm just going balls to the wall with them.
That's good.
If you take 2 dogs out and go hunting in your country, can you consistently catch bobcats?
Can I?
I mean,
no.
I suck. Can your mentor?
With just 2 dogs?
With 2 dogs?
Yeah.
Just like running a double it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, my mentor, I'm very... What's that?
I mean, yeah, just 1 or 2 dogs, a couple dogs.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, the first bobcat I caught with my own dogs, it was just Whiskey and Cooley. They treated just 2 dogs on their by themselves, and Rue ended up getting to the tree, but like he didn't really help catch it. Yeah, my mentor's dogs, he has a bunch of them that they can all tree their own cat and everything. Like he runs like 10 at a time, but he could, I'm sure his dogs could do it with fewer if he needed to.
Cody, are you asking if there's enough bobcat? If you have good dogs, you can go out there and hunt the hell out of it?
No, what I was asking is if you could, so I've talked to a lot of bobcat hunters across the country, and you talk to guys in Montana and some places, and they hunt 1 or 2 dogs,
in the snow.
Yeah.
And that's all they hunt, and of course most of them are snow hunters that are doing that and stuff like that. And I was just curious, if 1 or 2 dogs could do it in that country, or if anybody did.
If Cody,
no, people do, and those dogs are very, very good dogs that go for a lot of money. Like,
Cody,
dogs that can consistently catch by themselves out here. Yeah, those are expensive dogs, that's for sure.
Cody, if you took your best dog out, Ricochet, and you took him out and you hunted for a week with just him, how many bobcats would you catch?
None.
You don't think you could do it with just one dog?
No. I mean, yeah, no, not here.
Not there.
I go, to Montana or wherever them guys are hunting.
On a snow track. Yeah,
it's different deal. And it just, yes, you could maybe catch some,
but not consistently.
Some are gonna just run for 2 minutes and go up a tree, or catch an easy one now and then. But no,
those are the ones I caught.
Yeah, they're not. You're not gonna do that in this thick brush that's real dry.
So how many dogs?
The prickly pear is a big factor in that too.
Mm-hmm.
So how many dogs do you run down there at once, Cody?
62.
Yeah, Brett. Oh, my famous line is, "Man, if we just had one more dog." I have 16 hounds, including pup. If I went hunting tomorrow morning, I would take 15 dogs with 15.
And how do you run them? One at a time? You let them all loose, or do you get a track and then
dump the box and start driving? And but 10 is a good number. 7, if you got good dogs, 7 dogs is a real good number, and then a couple pups makes 10. And but it's just, every place you go has its own features that make it unique. And the droughtiness of where I live, combined with the prickly pear flats and stuff, you're not going to catch many cats with just 1 or 2 dogs. It's that they'll run them, and I've treed cats with just 1 dog before. Don't get me wrong. I have, but you're not going to do it consistently. They run and make a lose, and then,
Do your bobcats down there, will they do they duck and dodge the dogs a lot? Because here, the bobcats, it seems like they just run straight to a big mess of downfall, dead timber and stuff. And then who knows where they go? They're either running across the top of all the logs and the dogs just can't follow them, or they're just using the cover to duck out, to evade the dogs. I feel like that's where having more dogs in your pack is going to help you find it, because they'll spread out and
just one more dog,
jump it out of its little hole.
If I just had one more dog, I wouldn't have lost that cat, man. Let me tell you.
There you go, Cody. There's a good question for you, or
Ruben
statement.
Lossman had the answer to your question, Nick, and they catch a ride on a helicopter, and that's what they do. So sometimes they just disappear, man.
There you go.
What's your question, Brett?
Uncle Papa John, he says, my understanding is that it's easier to catch a lion than a bobcat. Is that true?
That
I think it's true.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
I've never caught a lion, so I have no idea.
At least not where you live, you haven't.
Right. Yep. Never.
If you have if you saw a lion run across the road, it would be easier to catch the lion than it would the bobcat. I'll put it that way. Now, I'll catch 100 bobcats for every lion I catch, so that should say something.
I think, me and Cody, we talk about this a lot. It's just a different kind of hunting.
Yeah.
It's just, unless you're, running a bunch of cell phone cameras and stuff like that, where you can go out there and just, have a picture of a lion that walked by at 4:00 in the morning, and you can get out there at 7 or 6, and you're still going to have some cold trailing, but it's just different when you're out there and you're just riding circles like Mike Root does, or like I try to do. It's man, you're looking at 95% cold trailing, 5% hot race, and when they have as many bobcats as those guys do over there, they've got a lot more hot races than they do the cold trailing.
Lions leave a lot more scent. Lions generally don't run. You hear a lot of these guys on the internet say a lion only run 5 minutes and that's it. And I caught about 115-pound tom. No, I'm sorry. I caught a 128-pound tom last year. That was I guarantee you he run as hard as any bobcat I've ever run. And now he would stop and bay and catch his breath and then run again. But I mean, from the time them dogs jumped him until the time we caught him was an hour. And everybody said, "Oh no, your dogs were trailing." I watched that lion cross the road at least half a dozen times, and they weren't trailing nothing. They were running his ass. Now that was a desert lion, in thick brush, but he stuck it to him, and we had to swim. I mean, it was an ordeal. Now I will admit that every other line that I've ever caught maybe ran 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. But that one didn't get the Facebook post that said lions aren't supposed to run. So.
Okay, let me tell my story in public, where everybody in the world, or at least 32 people, can call me a liar. 33 people.
33.
But this, I mean,
37, Brett.
This is honest truth. Me and my grandson went out, and there's a little old rock pile about 5 miles from the house, and I'd known that a lion would visit that every now and then, so we loaded up some dogs in the buggy, and we went out there, and we took our coyote calls too. And we went out there, and I thought I'd seen a lion track, and I put the dogs down, and they kind of, this is all dirt. I mean, desert dirt. I don't know if you've ever watched any of my videos, the kind of nasty country I try to hunt in. And I got the dogs barked and trailed a little bit, but I never could find a track, definitely, and we messed around there for a while. And finally I told my grandson, I said, let's put these dogs in the dog box and walk around the mountain here and call a coyote. And sure enough, we put the dogs up and we hiked around the side of the mountain. We set the call out and sat there and let the call go for, 15 minutes or so. Nothing came in. And I told my grandson, I said, we haven't shot our guns in a long time. Pick out a rock on the other side of the canyon there, and let's make sure these guns are still on. And so we're sitting there trying to decide which rock we're going to shoot at. And he says, "How about that rock?" I said, "Well," and he said, and he calls me T-Taw. He said, "T-Taw, there's a lion standing right there." And sure enough, right there next to the rock we were going to shoot at, there was a lion standing there. And we still had, the call was still blaring. And so my grandson, being, 18-year-old boy or whatever, he said, let me shoot that lion. I said, no, let's go get those dogs. So we hiked back around the mountain, got the dogs, took them back over there, and they started trailing. We didn't know where the lion went, and they trailed that lion. Finally, I got this Iris. She went over there, and she jumped that lion. Now, when I say a rock pile, I mean, I'm talking about boulders as, half as big as pickup trucks. I mean, just stacked, and that lion went up through those boulders, and the dogs had a hard time getting through there. Well, finally they got him jumped again, or her, and she came down. We sat there and watched her run up a road, a little old 2-track road. And then those dogs come out of that boulder pile and they're barreling after her. I mean, it's running, wow, wow, wow. And they went up that road, I don't know, 500-600 yards, something like that. And she turned and went up into another set of bluffs. And she went through those bluffs and came out on the other side. Well, those dogs, they got hung up in those bluffs for a while. Took them a while to get their way around. Finally, they got back around, and here they come, right back towards us. Here comes that lion. I mean, running like a greyhound, coming down a little old sandy arroyo. And those dogs were probably 300 or 400 yards behind her, something like that. And all the old timers, to a man who's spent any time hunting lions, will tell you that a lion can turn their scent off. And of course, people don't believe that. It's, biologically impossible just to turn your scent off. Well, let me tell you what, this lion turned her scent off. She got in there's a little old buggy road, 2-track road, and those dogs are coming, they're bawling. She stops in that road, squats down real low on the road, and looks back towards those dogs, and then just sneaks off. No more running. She ran to that point and then just started sneaking. And when she snuck off out of there and those dogs hit that road, it changed from a hot race to just a cold trail again. And they started cold trailing. And that lion, we finally trailed her out. Took us forever. We had to go help the dogs. And she had walked back over where she had started from, walked over her tracks, rocked back over her tracks, and cut across the flats. And by then it was, it was hot, and the dogs were, it was probably 75 degrees by then, so there was no chance in doing anything with her. But
I call BS.
Oregon. He's from Oregon.
Oregon, jeez. We're going to have to get him out of there.
Okay, so if a lion can turn its scent off, can it turn it on? Can it crank it up if it wants to?
Well, what I'm thinking is it's not that they turn their scent off. It's just that they change what they're doing.
They light step.
Yeah, and maybe it changes the scent picture enough where it just kind of confuses the dogs a little bit, or when they start sneaking like that, they just don't leave much scent. And
probably the amount of scent molecules is probably, it's less of it falling off the line. Maybe, I don't know.
Something.
Scent's always a mystery to me, but
they got a little knob right under here.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I sat there and watched it, and I told my grandson, I said, "Look at that! I mean, just look at that!" Because we were sitting there looking at the lion. It was amazing.
Maybe it's the adrenaline level, goes down a little bit also, or something. I don't know.
Oh, something.
Yeah, so I was thinking, dogs can smell stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Uh-huh. So maybe that lion is just goes into a zen-like state and calms itself down and tiptoes out.
They just calm down and they tiptoe out. So, when you move around, anytime you move, you do this or this, so you drop just thousands of your cells.
How many times, Cody or Chris, that have been trailing lions, how many times have you guys been trailing lions and just been trailing along pretty good? The dogs are moving the track and they're trailing and everything's good. And then all of a sudden, it just slows down. I mean, they had a bad lose and they're working at it. And have you ever taken?
You think they're working backwards?
Yeah, that's something. Say that you've seen a track and they're going the right way. Have you noticed?
You need one more dog.
You need a bobcat dog from South Texas. What you need? But
I don't think. And Ruben always said, the same thing. Oh, that bobcat, that cat turned the scent off. There is something about difficulty of catching a bobcat that has had human interaction before you turn the dogs loose. I by no means am I trying to sit here and trying to say that a bobcat is smart enough to say, man, I better turn my scent off or this hounds are going to catch me. But maybe something he does subconsciously. But I mean, I was hunting one day and I had the owner of a ranch and his son with me. And we were trotting down the road and the dogs went into the right and that big old lion jumped across the road, stopped, looked over at me and him and took off. And I didn't catch that lion. And that's not the first time. In fact, a lot of times, they're just, if you sneak, a lot of these old timers, if they see a bobcat and the dogs are off or out somewhere, they'll kind of shoot at them. They not shoot the cat, but shoot at them, scare them. Reuben used to honk his horn and kind of swerve off the road and kind of, you just get them running,
Really?
But they just, something they do when they have interactions with a human, they start sneaking and maybe they're not rubbing against stuff versus normally they're just nonchalant, not caring if they're rubbing against. I don't know, but there's some truth to it because you see an animal and then you try to catch it with dogs and it just something always happens, and it's always embarrassing too. How can you not catch the one you saw?
Oh, yeah.
And no, my dogs couldn't catch that one, owner, but they'll cold trail one 12 hours old and we'll catch. Hell, you couldn't catch one across the road, And so scent, I've done a lot of research on scent on the internet and stuff, and I have learned that just nobody knows.
No,
just nobody knows. There's just a lot about that's you look at some of them stories, some of them bloodhounds trail a little kid that was in a car that drove down the road 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And a freaking hound track. I mean, what are you? I mean, that's insane. And there's just so much unknown when it comes to that scent.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things. I mean, if I told everybody how old a track that I think I've trailed before, they would call me a liar. They just say, and that's why I don't even say it. There's no sense in it. But in my mind, I know. I mean, I've trailed well, I'm not even going to say it now.
Well, why? What makes that track so much hotter? Say you got a lion. I had an old, like, part bloodhound dog, slow tracker, but he would find those 3 or 4 day tracks and he would stick his nose in it and he'd open up. But he's really slow about it. But what makes that track different from maybe another track that's 3 days old? Was that lion in a big breeding frenzy and he's just full of pheromone and is he just thick full? But I just listened to a podcast where they said the exact same thing Cody said. He said, if you see him, you're not going to catch him. He says, you're better off. I don't know who it was. He says, drive off, come back 15, 20 minutes later, put your dogs down then.
I've had that too, yeah.
Because, your scent, it's like too fresh a scent. It hasn't dropped and dissipated and started to rise, I imagine. So they say he goes down.
I picture it as, if you can imagine if you were walking across the field and you're carrying a big 50-pound sack of flour on you. And, as you're walking, some of that flour's falling out. And it's not just where you're stepping. Some of that flour's blowing off over there 20 yards, and that scent's almost like a river, I mean, it kind of maybe stronger in the middle, but it flows out with the wind, and not just wind, barometric conditions, barometric pressures, and I think there's just so many conditions that affect scent that we don't know, and I mean, I know some days my dogs, I've you know, I turned loose on an 8-hour-old bobcat track in the dry dirt and caught it. And then I've turned loose on one I just saw and couldn't catch it. And some days you go hunting and them dogs can trail good, and then some days, man, they just ain't gonna get one jumped. I I I think that what Chris just said has a bearing on it. Is I think sometimes sin is stronger than others. Like you say, a big old rutting tom's gonna stink. A little bitty old sleek female is not gonna stink. Um, I know for a fact. I don't care what anybody says. Um, a mother having milk in her does something to her scent, and
Mother Nature, huh?
that Ruben always swore up and down it, and I'll swore up and down it as long as I live. A bobcat with milk in it, there does something because
they don't come in heat.
Bobcats. I ain't never caught many that had
when they have kittens, even with lions. So if they're not coming in heat, they don't need their glands to be pumping out any pheromones or any kind of scent until they're ready to come in heat. So I wonder if it's just their glands dry up when they're breastfeeding, when they're milking kittens.
Yeah, very, very well could be. Very well could be. It's something,
Cody.
or I would catch more cats that had milk in them. I just.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was the opposite. So you're saying if she has milk, it's harder to trail her or harder to catch her?
Much harder, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, much harder.
Weird.
Yeah.
Huh. I would have thought it'd be the opposite, because I picture her like squirting out little bits of milk here and there. But
100%, yeah. You would think so, but no. Ruben always swore up and down, and then that time of year, Ruben, that's got to be a female. Of course, Ruben was real bad about excuses, and he could come up with some dingers. Now, let me tell you, but there was some truth to it, because I could count the number of bobcats with milk in their bag that I've seen on one hand, and I've seen thousands of them. So I mean, there's some truth to it. There just statistically, there has to be some truth to it.
Maybe you need more than just one more dog to catch that cat.
Maybe just a couple more dogs, and then they'd be a little more technical. But
I know here the bear, they we have a few bear in this area that have, you can tell individual bear have different ways that they put off scent. Or I shouldn't say ways, the amount of scent they put off is different. We had one particular bear that we caught him a couple times, and a couple times we didn't catch him, and we just put two and two together that it was the same bear. He was in the roughly same location, and sometimes you'd get him going decent, and there'd be times you'd see him cross the road, and you just couldn't get the dogs. I mean, they act like it wasn't no scent there. I mean, it was terrible.
Well,
and we actually ended up nicknaming him. I thought I was crazy myself, and then there was a couple other groups of hunters in this, and they mentioned the exact same problem of just couldn't catch this bear. You could see him multiple times. Sometimes you'd have one or two dogs that could run him better than 10 dogs. Just because they'd stay right on track. But
Lee Brothers
I don't know what it was about him.
Lee Brothers swore that there were certain lions that their dogs couldn't trail, that they could differentiate and smell different lions different ways and stuff.
Well, your search and rescue dogs, they take one piece of article, let them smell it. So can you do that with a dog? Can you get them to chase one cat that smells like that? That's what the old Ben Lilly story, where he's hunting with, is it Teddy Roosevelt, one of those guys, somebody famous, and the guy loses his pocket watch or his wallet or something, and Ben Lilly rubs rubs the horse's nose and lets the dog smell the horse or the mule he's riding, and says, "Let's go." And I guess the dog trailed the mule back, and then he found his watch or whatever it was he lost.
Really?
That's what they do with search and rescue dogs. They can differentiate, between the scents. So, but Louisiana hunting, he has the answer right there. Y'all need trashier dogs.
Trashier dogs.
I was going to say, we got some great comments. Got a lively comment section.
I think you'll appreciate this, but I cat hunted for, I don't know, 10 or 12 years before I ever caught a lion. And my bobcat dogs would not run a lion. And it took quite a bit. It took a million miles and looking like a fool and a lot of embarrassment but the first lion I ever caught with these dogs, whenever you're roding down here, we encounter rattlesnakes a lot. Okay. And whenever there's a rattlesnake in the road, the dogs will buck up and kind of run back to the truck with their tail between their legs. And they did that. And I told the guy with me, I said, "Man, there's a snake up there." And I took the flashlight out, and it wasn't a snake. It was the lion we were hunting, standing there looking at us. And they wouldn't run. Yeah.
But you caught bobcats. You always caught bobcats, right? Bobcat after bobcat.
Tons of bobcats with them, but they wouldn't.
So that's what they ran. So you had to run into this lion and tell your dog, "Hey, you can chase that."
And it's funny how they, I don't know if I've ever told this story or not, but I sat there for probably 20 minutes trying to get those dogs to run that lion. And the owner of the ranch was there, and we just shine a light on it, and the dogs tuck tail and run. And I clapped and yipped and hey and hollered and got on my knees and begged and prayed. And I had a gyp named Tiny that was a big pet. And after probably 20 minutes, I got to playing with her, and she jumped up and put her front paws on my chest. And when she did, she threw her old mouth up and barked one time, just playing with me. Barked. It had nothing to do with the cat. And when she barked, playing with me, Eve and Lacey and them other dogs came over there, started that line and trailed it up and caught it right then. Nobody would bark first, and it was just an accident. And then so I kind of realized, hey, they don't want to run them, and so I called Clinto Brown and asked Clinto if I could hunt with him some and try to expose my dogs. And we caught a couple and jumped them out, and doing that, jumping them out that day, after that they started liking them more and more and more. And they're still not lion dogs, but they catch a few lions.
Yeah.
So with your running walkers, are they pretty easy to trash break?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Because I've noticed my dog Rue, he's the walker. He's been my easiest dog to trash break. It didn't take much at all. My blue ticks, that's a whole different story. So I wonder, do you think maybe they're just we know we're supposed to be chasing bobcats. We don't want to run anything other than bobcat is off game. Or because to us it's oh yeah, a cat is a cat. They probably smell the same, but I wonder if to a dog it's just a whole different
it's a whole
scent
nother
profile.
From a bobcat to a lion. And here's a funny story. So I hunt a lot of semi-urban areas, drain ditches on the edge of town and stuff like that, little villages. The point of that is there's quite a few house cats. And, when you've been roading your dogs from 2 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the morning and not got a bark, and then you see a big old orange tabby horse cat run across the road in front of you, you're like, I want to hear a little race, let them tree this old house cat. And my dogs would not tree them house cats. They would not bark them. They would not start them. They would not run those house cats. And when I started catching lions, my dog started treating some house cats on the drainage.
I've heard that same thing.
Yeah, and that's the truth. That's nothing but the truth. So,
I think they could differentiate between each cat if they wanted to.
I think so.
I really do.
I really do. I think they pick up a scent and then they categorize what it is, and I think all that scent varies. Like you say, they can differentiate from one cat to another cat. So maybe not all bobcats smell exactly the same. So a dog picks up the scent, he throws it in a file, and every once in a while there's that fox that smells a little bit more like a bobcat than a coyote, or and I think that's where some of your trash comes is I don't think scent is just as simple as a label. That's a cat, that's a dog, that's a coyote, that's a skunk. I don't think it's quite that simple, and if it was, it would be that's a human, and they train police dogs to pick one person out of a crowd, so.
Yeah, how about going backwards? Do yours go backwards very often?
The short answer is yes.
Oh, good. Oh, I feel so much better now.
That was funny. They go backwards, generally 100 to 200 yards on a bobcat, and they'll sort it out and turn around.
That's the key right there. They go backwards. They don't stay backwards.
Yeah. And I went to a lion kill one night, and dogs went into that kill, and just a roar, and them dogs went to running to the left, and that lion came running right between my legs to the right, and I couldn't stop. That lion had just come into that kill, and them dogs were so worked up. They took that line, and I couldn't stop it. Man,
you think it was just too hot before? It was just too hot.
They'll turn around.
Lasted a longer ways.
So you're saying they'll turn a bobcat track around, but they don't turn a lion track around as easy.
Correct. Yeah. No, they'll take a lion backwards a lot further than they will. They'll figure a lion out too on their own sometimes, but that was just so hot. They got all worked up and ready to go, and they, and it was obvious that it was. I mean, it went from a dead run to a cold track. So
new Matt. I got a question here.
I ain't sure on them hot tracks. I know with a bear, I ain't sure when the track is extremely hot. I ain't sure the scent ain't. I ain't sure they don't pick it up better going backwards for that first 50 or 100 yards. Way that scent's dropping or settling or however that works.
Yeah,
especially on bear. Bear's so hot, it just.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, but no, they'll go 100, Nick. They'll go 100 yards usually. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I carry a cigarette lighter with me when I hunt, and I always
now check this out.
I always light it up, Brett.
It's the opposite of what you think.
And I don't know about and I would love for you.
Hold on. Wait. If you were a hunter and you hunted with your nose, which way would you travel? Would you travel into the wind, or would you travel downwind?
With the wind?
Would you travel with the wind, or would you travel into the wind? If I'm hunting, if you're a hunter and a cat uses his nose among his eyes and everything else to hunt, which way would you go?
Because you want to be in the river. right? You want to be in the river of scent.
Okay, Cody, straighten him out.
So when you know, I'm roading my dogs, I'm going down the road and they start a cat, boom, cold trail. I know nothing. I haven't seen a track. I don't, you know, they just started. I'm gathering information and I'm sitting there. I will pull out my cigarette lighter and light it. And probably 75% of the time, that cat is traveling with the wind. So if the wind is blowing left to right, more than 75% of the time, the cat is going from left to right.
Damn.
Told you.
Crazy.
He tells me that, and honestly, I still don't believe it.
Well, okay, so I actually started carrying like one of those little deer hunter wind checker thingies, the little powder deal. Because the way we hunt out here is like most people we hunt off our rig, you know, got the dogs rigged up, and they will strike from the truck. So what I started doing is, okay, when my dog would strike, I would use the little wind puffer thingy to get an idea of where they're catching that scent from. And I would always get stressed out if they would start going the opposite direction. Like I would get stressed out if they were going down like with the wind.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, the scent's coming from upwind. So so I had it all backwards.
Well, and there may be a very big difference between a desert South Texas cat and what a Oregon cat does too. But I would be very curious to see, and I would ask that, you know, you start trying to pay attention to which direction the cats are going is compared to the wind.
Oh,
and I would be very curious to see what you
out. Man. Yeah, I'm definitely going to pay attention to that. So a lot of the times when the dogs are striking here, it's like a piss bush or something. Like the cat, you know, a lot of times they just mark these little pine saplings on the side of the road or a little bush. And that's what the dogs will go to right away and start, you know, sniffing up. So it's not, and then it'll take them a while to figure out where the track actually went. But that is so interesting. Holy cow.
And it's opposite of what you would think, you know.
It 100% opposite.
The reason I brought that up is when your dogs, or when my dogs back trail further than normal, they're usually is the stronger the wind is. So
okay.
You know, that they get to going backwards, and that wind's blowing it to them, and it, you know, it's like that wind's sending it, you know, they're more apt to back trail into the wind. Gotcha. And you know, so a lot of times they'll go into the wind. You'll pull out my lighter, and then I'll say, we'll wait a little while, and then they'll slowly start trickling back. But
it's almost like the wind is like disturbing all that scent that was left behind, maybe.
Yeah. They like it, you know. It just smells good.
Easier. Yeah.
What about rigging, Cody, Nicholas? Do you guys both rig or box or whatever you want to call it?
Rigging is a new thing to me. Ruben never, I mean, until later in life, but for the 20 years that I've cat hunted, we never rigged. And, but I just woke up one day and one of my dogs started rigging, and is fluke. It was nothing that I did. And then that dog rigging started getting some of the other dogs to rigging. And so it's a very, very new thing for me. You know, most of my cat hunting life, we didn't rig. When I was young, I would have, you know, I would have thought, and I did think that, you know, bobcat, you can't rig bobcats. You know, they don't smell. Well, they're nothing further from the truth. You can rig the hell out of them.
Sorry.
Over there where Nick's from,
Yeah,
that's all they do is rig them. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm not all they do, but that's a lot of them West Coast dogs.
Yeah, I would guess that our bobcats are probably spread out a little. They're not I don't think
not
our
as
population
dense.
is as dense as
Yeah.
what you guys have there. So like, yeah, we gotta cover a lot of ground to get a cat going. So like, just the most efficient way is to have your dogs on the truck and just cover tons of ground.
Do you rig a lot of bears, George?
Yeah, our season's getting ready to come in August, and probably August and September I'll use a lot of rigging.
When you're trash breaking your dogs, and you also rig,
right?
How do you break a dog from rigging trash?
Basically by not turning it loose, pretty much. Our bear population is decent enough where I really don't have to necessarily break what I'd consider break my dogs. I can, for the most part, let them break themselves. And I reckon to explain that a little farther, if I consistently keep putting them on bear with my older dogs, they just learn. I'll put it this way too. If I'm taking a walk and one of my young dogs jumps a deer, takes it out of there, I usually pay absolutely zero attention to that young dog. I just keep on walking with my older ones. That usually, if it's a young dog and if it's pretty young, it usually just gets bored within a mile or so, comes back, hunts me down. And after a couple consistent days of doing that, typically they'll start breaking themselves. Now, at the same time, once they get up a year and a half, then I'll start using a little electricity if need be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't shock dogs when they first start running trash. Just let them go. They'll lose interest. Yeah.
Especially, I mean,
maybe it would be, it would be a little harder if you just have one or two dogs, but them dogs are naturally pack animals. So if they don't have their buddies going with them, they typically lose interest pretty fast.
You always have your lead dog, which is the oldest dog usually. Like I got
right.
Dirty. So when they rig, and if they all kind of blow up, then I'll let Dirty down and let's see what he does. And if he takes off, he's taking off on something that's good, then I'll let a couple other dogs down and see what they do. My second best, my third best. And once they get crazy, I let all my pups out, and that's how they learn. But if you don't have an older dog, it's tough. Right?
Yeah. I totally
Nicholas?
agree.
Wait, what's that?
Nicholas knows. If you don't have an older dog to help you out, it's tough.
Oh, it feels impossible. Yeah.
But I'll say this again.
Unless you're hunting in the snow, like you need snow.
Oh.
Snow or an old straight dog.
We took a bunch of puppies out in May one time. It wasn't bear season. We got this inch snow. We took a bunch of young pups out, threw them on the rig rack, and if we'd run around looking for bear tracks. So if they rigged, we knew. If they didn't rig, it's kind of how we broke them. But we found a lion track. So all we had was young pups. So we let them down, and we actually walked it out for them. It had just killed a elk that night, so we found the kill. I took a road all the way around, walked down, found the kill, went back up, went to go back this way, and the lion had crossed behind us. So we knew it was right there, so we walked those dogs out, and they kind of took off after it. And they got up about a quarter mile ahead of us. We got there's a big area. They're just running around. We're like, what happened? They lost it. And it took us 10 minutes until we seen it up in a tree. And you got 40, 50-foot pines there. And if they lay just right and a good limb, you don't see them. But that's how we caught a lion one time, just off of pure no-track training, looking for bear.
Ohio Hillbilly just asked a very good question.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This is funny. So I used to have a pup named Bruno.
Oh.
And he was the first hound that I ever owned. A walker dog, hound dog. It wasn't a cur dog. And you would be hunting. Man, I ran enough.
George, bring home the milk.
I ran enough electricity to light up
we're
the town
good.
of El Paso for a week through that dog. And but you would be hunting, and he would bark. He would start, and about half the time, every dog would immediately hightail it to him, and we would run a bobcat. And about half the time, he would bark, and nothing would honor him. And those dogs could tell when he was trashing.
Absolutely.
Just from listening to him. And that was really cool.
Yeah.
And if you're around your dogs and you pay attention enough, you'll know when they're trashing.
Yeah. And you can tell, some of my dogs, I can tell if it's a lion or a bobcat by listening to them now. And so, yeah, to answer your question, yes. You can tell. You can hear the difference in them.
And going back to Brett's question about rigging, I can usually tell, not every time, but almost immediately, you can tell if they're, messing with something else, or I reckon just spending time with the dogs lets you know a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can tell if it's hot or if it's cold or if you don't know. Like with Dirty, you let him down, and I could tell if we're going to catch a bear. But I also know when he's out trailing and he's got it. I also know when he can't find the track and he's looking for it. I know that part. I mean, there's 100 different barks. And if you pay attention to your dogs, anybody who has dogs knows it. And I'm sure everybody here has had somebody say, how do you know that's Susie barking? How do you know that's Jimmy barking? Because you know. And they don't understand it because all dogs sound the same. But it's the same with rigging, opening up on a track. If it's something that's probably not a track, it's all about paying attention. And that's how you know you're better houndsmen.
Yeah.
If they
Nick,
if they do that, just get rid of them.
Yeah. If running, I had a little bitch named Beulah that I could not shock her and make her stop. I couldn't. I mean, put it on 18 and hold that button down till batteries died. You weren't going to make her stop. And I finally shaved her neck and then rubbed grease on it and then put the collar on it. That was the end
dielectric grease.
Wrapped her with copper wire.
Yeah. But, Nick, have you ever heard of a guy named Kelly Forney from Cascade Kennels in Oregon?
No.
I got a dog.
To look him up.
How about Dewey Walton?
I don't know him personally, but yeah, I know about Dewey Walton.
Yep.
Brett, the dog that I'm talking about that I got from Kelly Forney at Cascade Kennels there in Oregon ended up with Tom White in New Mexico.
Oh, no kidding. How long ago?
Yeah. Pretty long time ago.
Was it what Running Walker?
No, it was Tree and Walker from out there on the East Coast. But she was a pretty decent hound. I liked her. She had been spayed and couldn't keep weight off of her, and I had to get rid of her. But she was a nice dog.
Yeah.
There was a question in the comments a little bit back that said if you guys preferred sizes, what size of dog? I think Brett walked off in that time.
I like a small dog.
I like a medium dog.
I like them to be tall and lanky like me.
Yeah. I like a ricochet dog, tall and lanky, cover a lot of ground, longer steps, not as fast, But I like a smaller dog, too, for getting around this brush and cactus sometimes. It's just down here, a big dog is not going to last as long. Mm-hmm. Pushing through such thick brush so hard, they just they're not going to last as long.
I like about a 35, 40-pound dog, tight in the waist, deep in the chest, good cat-footed. Yeah, get around in the rocks
Small
good.
food. Yeah.
Why do people prefer those tight feet?
You know, that comes from my greyhound wolf dog days when I was running coyotes. You wanted a dog that, you know, stood up on his feet and was what we called cat-footed. But I had a dog I called Hoover, Super Hoover. He was a red tick dog that came from Riley Miller, and he was real old-fashioned bred. And he had a big old spayed out, nasty looking
Looked like
foot.
a lion track.
Yes, and yeah, matter of fact, I thought I was trailing a lion a few times. So I was just following his track, and you would have thought he would have got sore-footed, tough-footed dog. I mean, he never got sore-footed on me because he had, you know, real good pads and everything. It was spayed out, and that dog ended up being a really, really good dog, and but he wasn't. He was never trashy, never. The only thing he ever trashed down on was javelina, but he ended up. George would have liked him, or you. He made a really good bear dog, but you could run a bear one day, and then cold trail a lion all day the next day. I mean, he was just an exceptional dog, and I didn't know what I had. I mean,
I think there's a lot of dogs out there that would have made great dogs, but the owner wasn't good enough.
Oh, I had a bunch of them.
I think there's a lot of I've done it before, and I thought, why did I get rid of that dog so quick? You know, I think, who is it, Warner Glenn, that keeps dogs quite a while and talks about how he's had dogs blow up at 4 years old.
Well, I think if you're going to dry ground lion hunt and you're going to hunt in tough country and you want to have good dogs, you better, and you can't, I mean, now if you're showing them, you know, 30 lions a year, yeah, then you can kind of judge them a lot faster. But if you're only showing them, you know, 5 lions, 6 lions a year, you better give them till they're 3 or 4 years old, because for them to start cold trailing, I mean, to really work a cold track, not like what a lot of guys think, but to really work a cold track and work one for hours and hours, that dog's got to have some age on it.
Yeah. I think your snow hunters dogs are like high school diploma. They graduated and they can take a track, if you call that whatever. But I think your dry ground dogs, I think you have your bachelor's degree and you have it goes up higher. And the longer that dog is running, you know, a 1.5-year-old dog on dry ground, and like you said, if you're not catching 30 lions a year, I think he's only going to get better if he has something in him. You know, if he has that trait that he wants to trail, I think he's only going to get better because he's going to have to learn to really use his nose. And I knew we weren't going to make it through a whole podcast without Scruffy being brought up. I knew it.
Yeah, the famous Scruffy. What were you going to say, Cody?
I tell sometimes you need to judge a dog by a certain time in a dog's life, and you have to be able to understand, and you have to be able to recognize that not all dogs are the same. And that's so many houndsmen's fault is that I see, you know, is that they treat every dog the same. You know, I mean, they have this formula that if a dog barks on trash, I'm going to hold this button on level 18 for 4 seconds, you know. And every dog is different, and you have to be able to understand that. But at a certain time in a dog's life, it's just as important to judge that dog off of not doing anything wrong as it is what he's doing right. And I've had some pretty good dogs that at one point in time someone would have looked at my other dogs and said, man, what are you doing with that dog here? And he ain't hurting nothing, you know. And them dogs turn out to be pretty darn good dogs given some time and chance. And you have to be able to recognize which dogs to give that chance to. and that's just talking to dogs.
Hounds. Patience, right?
Let me tell you what a young Brett Vaughn did. I was down there, and I'm sure most guys have heard about Henry McIntyre. I mean, real famous Texas lion hunter. Whoa, George, are you okay?
There's Scruffy.
Scruffy. The Scruffy cam.
On his little pillow.
And he was going to give me a what do they call that? White. What do they call it? White something. White Mountain.
White Cloud.
No, a Walker. What's that guy who raised all those Walker dogs?
Yeah, White Cloud Walker.
White Cloud. There you go. He was going to give me a White Cloud Walker, and I didn't know what the heck I was talking about. And here's Henry McIntyre going to give me a dog, and he says, "Here," he said, "Go ahead and take this dog." And me, being the bright kid that I was, said, "Well, what's he doing?" He said, "He ain't doing nothing yet, but he's not doing anything wrong either." That's what he told me. Anyway, he didn't give me the dog after that.
I think impatience plays a big part in how a dog works too. You start shocking them too much. You start being a little bit too aggressive with them. I've had dogs that respond to me pointing my finger at them. I couldn't put a shock. I got him from a guy, and he was rough on her. And me, so all I had to do is give her a dirty look for smelling a turkey track, and she acted like I shock her. I think you're right. Every dog is different.
I've seen people, and someone comes to mind now, but that cold young dogs put themselves out of business, basically. Woke up one day and got rid of that dog because he didn't like it, and got rid of this dog because he didn't like it, and sold that dog because he didn't like it, and got rid of this dog because he didn't like it. Then woke up one day and didn't have no more dogs. Was running dogs. And I'll tell you something else too. And there's a lot of people that won't like to hear this, but in the last year or two, I've seen a couple of dogs that should have been worthless pieces of trash, that just junk, come from people that was pure junk dogs and made damn good hounds. They weren't mine, but I'm in my older age, I'm really starting to think that, although I do like my bloodline and I work on all that, I think that sometimes people put a little too much emphasis in that. Sometimes you just need to get a dog and go hunt, and because I've seen some dogs in my older age that should have been trash, and the hell I'd have been proud to own them, call them mine. And so I think in the right hands, in the right situation, a lot more dogs can make it than you think. Done right.
And I believe also a dog will work different for somebody else. That dog may not do nothing for this guy, and he's like, F that dog. I don't want him. You'll take him. And you're like, what's wrong with this? This dog is running good with the dog. It's treeing. I think those dogs are the same as humans. You bump into somebody, and you're like, I don't like that guy. Why? I don't know. His eyes are too close together. His nose is too big. He smells funny. I think dogs are the same. They get to a human, and if they don't work with that human, they're not going to work for that human. So when you give that dog away, he might work. Another man's trash is another man's treasure. It's basically what you just said.
And also, Chris, to add to that, sometimes it's the dogs themselves. A certain dog can't work with another dog in your pack.
Oh yeah,
I think everybody's had one of them dogs, Brett has siblings, litter mates that do it. I have litter mates that used to do it.
I kept the whole litter.
They didn't like each other. That's a good question. Do you have a type you look for? George, where do you get your dogs? Do you breed your own dogs? I don't think we've ever talked about where we all get our dogs. Brett
so this kind of goes along with what Cody just said. So I've bred my own line of dogs for a long time, years.
Yeah.
And it started off as basically accidental, just a couple old dogs I had breeding, purely accidental. They threw some good litters, and breeding back and forth and adding a few little odds and ends, I produced my own line. But I've realized probably the last 2 or 3 years, I think I've shown too much interest. I think I've paid attention to my own bloodline too much, and realized that I actually need to. I brought a dog in, just a pure random dog a guy gave to me, and it kind of opened my eyes. That dog, as a 9-month-old pup, she was no kin to my dogs at all, and she ended up, by the time she was a year and a half, she was out striking, out rigging, and out treeing the own thing,
Yeah.
So I realized that I was putting way too much time and effort into just creating this perfect bloodline, when I should have just been getting dogs and hunting.
Yeah.
But
I know there's a point. You got to follow a little bit. But
it's hard to go outside your bloodline when you know you have what you have.
it's scary.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's
But
the
you
same
don't
thing
know
I did.
what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know, and some people get themselves in a little bubble, and then don't even know what other people have.
Well, and there's a lot of.
That's exactly what I found myself in. To a certain extent.
There's a lot of pride that goes into that too. That you're too prideful to admit that somebody else might have something that
the downfall of houndsmen, right?
Yeah, and I mean, of course, I always with David Heiss. David Heiss, he was a coyote man. I mean, and he ran coyotes, and he had cur dogs, and he ran hogs at one time. And he always took his dogs and went and run against other people's dogs. He said I never minded being beat by somebody else. He said, because then I know where to go get my next dog. And I thought that makes a lot of sense. And that's like, when me and Cody started talking years ago, and I was always taught by the old timers, those running walkers wouldn't work in this country. They just, but I was also talking to guys that were used to the running walkers that were used in pens all the time, and when I started seeing what Cody was doing, I said, God gum. I told him, I said, I want to try some of those dogs. And he got me a couple, and I haven't made the videos yet, but it made a difference, I believe. I mean, my dog's cold trail. My dogs are trail dogs, and they do good. But some of those dogs that I got, they added a little bit of spark that made a difference, I think.
You know what I've noticed on a lot of dogs up where I live? I've had to help people. They've asked me to come because my dogs tree like crazy rabid animals. And they'll trail, but they tree super hard. And these guys' dogs would trail, and they're just kind of a mixed breed crosses, but they wouldn't tree. Like, they would just kind of, my dog just want to climb and rip stuff apart, but I would go help people just so my dogs would tree, So, and I just have a little bit of everything in my pack. I'm sure we all, I have a dog that she'll tree and trail. I got dogs that will trail crazy and not really tree, just kind of run around. And I got dogs that they don't want to trail. They want to run, but they'll stay at that tree.
Well, and a houndsman is like a head football coach for an NFL team. Certain coaches win the Super Bowls more, and it's not because any one dog is better, but it's because they're better at assorting a team,
putting a team together.
And, you have to be able to realize I have good dogs that tree, and then that's what a houndsman is a houndsman tries to put all that together, and pack dogs anyways. When you're talking about trying to catch bobcats, it's a team effort. It's a team effort, and you have to be able to mix it all together to make.
Well, you won't win a Super Bowl with all quarterbacks.
That's exactly 100%. And down here where I live, and what you need is going to vary where you're at. Obviously, you and Brett, Chris, are going to need more trailing dogs than I do. I'm going to need more colder nose jump dogs, and it's just going to vary where you're at. And a good houndsman takes where he's hunting, puts a team together, and it's the best team possible.
Yep.
And so it's that's my opinion on the matter, anyway.
Johnny's out of here.
Bye, Johnny.
Hey, there's Res Hounds.
There's Res Hounds. I hadn't even seen him for a while.
He's sitting back there in the corner being quiet.
Well, he's sitting up there in that high country where it's probably a lot cooler than the desert.
I meant to ask you earlier, Nick, what's your mentor's name?
I can't say.
I knew he wasn't going to say. I knew it. I was going to ask him that.
He didn't even want his name in my book.
Well, your green screen is there.
What's your book?
Oh, stupid thing.
Hey, your name ain't David Pittigaw, is it? And y'all ain't messing with me?
No, it's not.
We need to get David on here and Cody and just sit back and watch.
Yeah, great. Popcorn. Enjoy the popcorn.
What's your book? Hold your book up again. The green screen was messing it up. What did it?
Yeah, it's like a
Nick.
background remover thing. It's called Cat Dog Chronicles.
Stand up, Nick, and hold it at your chest. Yeah, you can see it.
Cat Dog Chronicles.
There you go. Oh no, still doing it.
It doesn't like the green screen. Cat Dog Chronicles. Basically, I wrote a book. My book is about. It's like basically learning how to hunt bobcats. With my dog Whiskey, the old lady hound who my mentor gave me. Basically the whole book is me and her. It's basically me learning from her how to hunt bobcats. So
that's what I like about Nick is most houndsmen, like, we have the pride thing. Nick's like, hey, I'm writing a book of me starting out. It ain't trained by a hound where the guy has 40 years, 50 years of doing it. This is like nobody writes a beginner story saying, hey, this is tough. Like, this is how I got started, and I ain't perfect. So you're in what, 4 or 5 years, right? How long you been?
Yeah, I've been hunting with the hounds for like 5 years now. But I mean, I still feel like in anything else, like 5 years, you got a bachelor's degree, you got like a you're like got a master's degree. I feel like I'm still in preschool.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel the same way.
When I listen to those old timers talk, I'm like, oh my, why? Like, I could just sit there and listen to those guys all day because they'll say stuff. You're like, wow.
Yeah, just wow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I like to go interview them. I mean, it's a good thing, but man, I absolutely enjoy sitting down and talking to them and listening to them, what they say. It's just it's great.
Louisiana hunting, he just said, and a lot of people won't mentor you.
Yeah.
So here's the trick.
That's a fact.
You have to basically just force them into it. You have to just harass them and ask them.
Sit in their truck in the morning.
And like, you're my mentor now. You can't get rid of me. Also,
I think I figured out who his mentor is now.
Oh, hey, I used to live in Louisiana, so you're not too far off. But also, this is good advice for like any young hounds, because I feel like I wouldn't be able to catch anything if I didn't have somebody that I could call up and just, talk things through. Someone who's been there, done that I can like get good advice from. Sometimes you just need a sounding board.
I'll say
you got to be willing to like help them out too. So like I'm always looking for ways that like I can help my mentor with whatever skills I have. Like I'm like a technology person, so I can help with technology. I can help troubleshoot problems on his alpha, like that kind of stuff. If you're a young hound hunter and you want to get hooked up with a mentor, you got to be willing to kind of help them out too. And I feel like that's been just
credit card with gas for gas.
Symbiotic relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. Gas money helps too.
And I'll tell you, a lot of this business is opinion. A lot of what we believe is opinion and not fact. And as you're doing it longer and longer, you realize half of what you know and is bullshit.
Let me tell you a story about exactly what you're saying, but it has to do with the roping, and I roped for years, and I roped at a very, very high level, and when I first started, I was just wanting to learn everything I could learn, and talked to some guy that I thought was pretty good, and he said, well, you need to turn your hand this way. Always turn your hand this way. I said, all right. And for like a year, I worked at that. And it never did help. And I went back and seen him, and I told him a year later, I said, man, you told me to do this. Turn my hand a certain way, and it didn't help. And he just looked at me and said, I thought it would. That was it. Work all year.
Just because someone is old and just because someone's been doing something a very long time doesn't mean they're very good at it. And
that's fact.
And that's it. I've learned a lot from a couple of hunters that weren't that old, and I've known some old timers that were full of crap. So I mean, it's on an individual basis, but that's my little saying is just because someone's been doing something very long doesn't mean they're very good at it.
Yeah.
There's a good
on that note,
Brett, from Tree Dog.
I will add on to that. On that note, just because someone gives you advice doesn't mean you have to do it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you want to listen and soak up everything, but like the way my mentor hunts is way different than how I do, and I don't have the same amount of time to invest that he does. Like, I can't hunt 200 days a year like he does. So it's like, take the advice and then kind of squirt it out, make it work, adapt it to whatever you got going on. Because like, you can really kind of drive yourself crazy if someone tells you, oh, turn your hand this certain way, and then you spend a whole year doing that and it's not working for you. Well, it's like, hey, like you said, like, hey, he thought it would work, but
yeah, he didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. He just told me, hey, try, and I took it for gospel.
You thought he had some kind of secret recipe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you don't always know what. I got another story. You don't always know what why they do certain things or why they had to do certain things. It's like the lady who always cut the end off the roast to cook it, and finally someone asked her, said, "Why do you cut the end off the roast?" She said, "Well, that's because my mom always did." So they went and asked her mom, "Why'd you always cook the end off the roast?" She said, "That's what my mom always did." So we went and asked the grandma, said, "Why'd you always cut the end off the roast like that?" She said, "Because I didn't have a big enough pan for it to fit in." So you don't always know why they do what they do. Maybe it's a reason.
Just one more dog.
Yeah, a reason that doesn't affect you. But it's hard, and especially with a lot of, and that's that's my bone to pick with a lot of the houndsman world nowadays is, how do you get a young kid to start hunting when everybody wants to sell him a dog for $5,000 that he don't have, and that's it's I mean, the number of bobcat hunters in South Texas has been cut in half in the time that I've been cat hunting. Wow.
Really? That's surprising.
That's 20 years.
Well,
18 years.
You said hound hunters have been cut in half? As many people
Bobcat hunters. South Texas bobcat hunters. The number of South Texas bobcat hunters has been cut in half in the last 18 years.
Why is that, you think?
Old guys either dying or retiring and no one replacing them.
I think and I've had this happen 100 times. You take someone with you. I've had it happen a lot. You take someone with you. You rig a bear. You catch a bear in 10 minutes, and they want to become a houndsman.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they got too many dogs. They spend, because it's not, BB guy. That BB guy said it perfect. He says it's not just patience, it's opportunity. Yeah. And that's, you can have as much patience. You can have the 300 Garmin. You can have the lifted truck. You can have $1 million worth of equipment. But if you don't give those animals opportunity, it's not going to work. They have to have the opportunity to tree something. And when you go with these people and they're catching these bears in 30 minutes, it's like false advertisement, because they don't see how much work it took for that 9-year-old dog to be where he's at, where he can rig off the truck and he can catch that bear by himself and take everybody with him.
The fact of the matter is, you've got to be retarded to want to do it.
That's a fact. I tell them.
That's a joke, but it's also true. It's funny because it's very true. And we're not normal, and anybody would enjoy going cat hunting a couple times.
Sure.
But to do it 200 mornings a year, or 150 mornings a year for 20 years, 30 years, and that's where those liberal guys, they don't understand it's not about killing bobcats. I could care less if I never killed another bobcat as long as I've lived. I've killed enough of them. I could care less. I've killed one mountain lion in my life, and I'll probably never kill another. Now, I'll treat some that get shot, but it's not about hunting. You get tired of killing the bobcats. You get tired of killing the lions about year 3, year 4, year 5, and it's about the hounds, and it's about the experience, and that just doesn't appeal to many people anymore. They
don't understand it.
Well, and I mean, especially and if you hunt the way I do, I've had guys tell me, other hound hunters say, man, and these are typically guys that are driving roads and, in fresh snow, trying to cut a fresh lion track. Tell me that, if you think I'm going to sit on a mule and ride 15 miles for 10 days to try to find one lion track, you're crazier than hell. You know what? They're going to get in their truck and drive around. They can listen to their radio and have their heater and have their everything right there, and then drive and drive and drive. But to me, I can sit on that mule for 10 days and enjoy every day of it, and I can sit in a truck for 4 hours, and I am so tired that I can't hardly wiggle. I mean, I just hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
People come to me and they want to hunt a lion, and my first question to them is, do you want to hunt a lion or do you want to kill a lion? If you want to hunt a lion, we'll get on a mule and we'll go hunt a lion. If you want to kill a lion, wait till it snows. We'll go kill a lion.
Yeah.
And do both of them and tell me which one you prefer. Even if you don't catch a lion on that 10-day on the back of a mule hunt, you're going to have a blast.
The experience.
Speaking of which, I leave here Saturday to go leopard hunting in Mozambique, Africa. With Gavin Lipsky.
No. Cut him off. Cut him off already.
You're gone. Cut him off. See you, Cody.
That's awesome.
Y'all can prepare for that. Yeah.
Damn, dude, that's awesome.
I don't know if any of y'all have listened to that podcast that Gavin Lipsky. I don't know how you say his last name, Lipjps, but
yep,
something.
I know what you're talking about.
Anyways, I leave here Saturday to go with him.
You going with him?
Over there. Yeah, be over there for 14 days. So when I get back that Monday night, I'll have a pretty cool story or two to jump on here.
That'd be awesome.
Hey, I need to get this locked down right now. Will you come on the Hound on the Run podcast to tell us about the trip?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exclusive. You heard it here, folks. First here, folks.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Gavin, me and him just met. One of these podcasts that I did with Brett. We were talking. I was just fixing to go to Mexico on my little Jaguar collaring program, and he heard it, so he messaged me, and we started talking back and forth. And one thing led to the next, and he ended up doing me real good and getting me over there with him. So it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
Power of social media.
Yeah, no. Yeah, me and Brett were talking about that the other day. I said, I'm going to Mozambique, Africa next week because I did a podcast with you, So yep. you never know the reach that one of these things is going to have, and you might just interact with the one person that change your life.
Yep. It can do just as much good as it can do bad.
Yeah.
That quick.
So, but he's been sending me pictures, so he's over there with these pot liquor dogs and stuff. And then, a few months ago, I get a picture of this real pretty running walker. And he said, man, I knew you were coming. And I had to do it, so he's got a couple running walkers up there now. And so it'll be pretty neat to see how that turns out. It'll be a very interesting trip. So,
hey, Res Hounds, that's Hounds on the Run. I think that's what he's asking. What podcast?
Oh yeah, Res Hounds. My podcast is called Hound on the Run, but I don't. Maybe he was asking about the one you were on with Gavin.
I wasn't on there with Gavin. I was on here with Brett. Gavin heard it, but Gavin did a podcast too. Gavin, what podcast would Gavin Lipshe do?
Houndsman XP, I think.
Yeah, that's where I heard it.
Yeah.
Thoughts of the feds removing horses. I probably shouldn't answer this because horse meat's edible. Is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
it's good.
And Res Hounds, you should know this. And tell me if I'm wrong, but they were gonna issue permits up on the Navajo reservation, and the Annis killed it. They killed it. They came in, PETA or somebody, and just harassed the reservation government so bad that they didn't do it. But it's the same in Nevada, and I don't know why they don't. Well, they won't issue any kill permits for horses because they're a horse. But I don't understand why they don't let people just come get them off for free. There's 3 of them out where I live in Xolo that I would go get.
Down in Mexico, there's a bunch of wild donkeys in a lot of places down there.
Oh,
bunches of them.
Yeah, Arizona too.
Yeah,
over East Arizona, they get hit all over the roads. They have a lion over there killing them, and they won't do nothing about it because
they like it.
It's less donkey. Yeah, I said you should
transport
more.
Hitting a horse with your car? That would suck.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so where I live now in 1986. We have a 2-lane highway, came in and out. It was through the reservation, no fence. Every week there was a horse hit on that road. There was a native guy I knew. It was at night. He was on his motorcycle. He was doing about 100 miles an hour. He had hit a horse, and he actually stayed with the horse, and the bike went another 200 yards. But a lot of it, they got fenced off now. A lot of it's fenced off now. I just think they need to take care of that horse problem. I think they need to aggressively take care of that horse problem. That's all I got to say about that. I wish they would give permits.
I don't know nothing about no horses.
The whole world. I don't know.
That's what happens. When I get angry, I get all bulked up like that, like the Incredible Hulk.
Looking good, brother.
I know. I've been working out.
Soap's keeping you shiny.
The beard looks good on my breast.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I
want everybody to know
the backstory behind that picture.
Who made that
is
for
that
me.
Chris was on my podcast, and I was going to make the thumbnail to put on YouTube, because the podcast is also on YouTube. And so I asked Chris to send me like a selfie. We just need like just a picture of you so we can put it on the thumbnail. And then he sends me the big black man with the full wiener exposed.
Yeah, it wasn't censored. I said I'll send you a selfie, but I don't think we're gonna be friends.
I don't know about these Monday Night Live, boys.
It's getting late.
And so my wife makes my thumbnails for me because she's like a graphic designer and she's awesome. And so she took that picture and then turned it into an advertisement for Chris's soap.
Yep.
Which, hey, a little promo for Chris. He just put up a video about making soap, so everyone should go and watch that.
Bear soap.
The whole process.
And let me tell you what, the batch he made before, whatever, he sent me some, and it's good soap. It's good stuff.
It is good soap.
All natural.
I got George's. I just got to get his address and send it. One for him and his wife. I gotta wait till those stickers come in so I can put those stickers on my box.
Okay. Closing thoughts. What do we got? How did we discuss the leopard hunt? Did you discuss about how you were going to film it?
He did.
Yeah,
he's filming it and he's coming back to live.
I'm gonna do my best. Brett gets a little frustrated with me sometimes. I get too excited. I go out and I'm like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to film it and I'm going to send it to Brett.
And this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like.
Yeah. So I just, when them dogs start barking, the filming goes out the window for me, man. I lose track. But hopefully.
We all do.
It takes a while to get over that. It takes a while to get over that. It takes years of not catching anything, then you just get used to filming.
It's such a unique hunt. I do want to have some pretty good footage. So we'll see how it turns out.
I'm going to help him put together a video of his hunt. I want him to tell the story, where he's at, how he got there, about the dogs, where they're hunting, how they hunt, everything.
Cody, is that going to happen?
Yes, is what going to happen?
How you tell the story on camera and everything?
No promises. No promises. I am legit going to try. I'm going to try. So, with
Res Hounds, he's a professional.
Who's somebody?
You got to get at least a couple minutes.
Who's little girls?
That was my twin daughters in my video. They like to, and they say "yep" after everything. I said, "Yeah, this is the bear grease." Yep. This is a lie. Yep. Yep. I actually turned to him. I said, "Are you going to just say yep after everything I say?"
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
cool.
We'll see. I'll be back here August the 7th, August the 8th. So maybe I can drop by and visit y'all with a few stories.
Please do. We look forward to it. All right. Closing thoughts. Anybody? Anecdote of a houndsman?
If you're going to get in a dog, you're retarded.
Yeah. I got homework for Nick, and we learned that we're all retarded. So,
yep.
What's the homework? Did I miss that? What's your homework?
What direction?
Oh, the lighter.
Yeah.
There you go.
Shoot, I'm gonna try that. I'm trying that
drive
too.
Me crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'd be.
I wonder if the same with bear.
And Ruben, our wind blows. Our wind blows out of the southeast all the time, and cranky old Ruben, he was a cranky old bastard. I'd be out there looking for the wind, and I'd say, yeah, he's going that way. And he said, Cody, if them cats always traveled with the wind, they'd all be in Canada and there'd be none here no more. You're full of shit. Yeah. And but
maybe you can only trail them when they're going in the wind with the wind.
Maybe, but I would say 75% of the time, maybe a little bit more. They're traveling it with the wind. So I'll be curious to see if y'all notice that anywhere else.
George, everybody needs to know George is putting out videos, good videos now every week, George?
That's the goal every week. I've got a pile of videos, just got to actually get them edited and put out.
I scolded him. He'd said that he had like 33 videos of bears that he had caught, and he hadn't edited them and put them on his channel. So
yeah, I got in trouble. So thanks to Mr. Brett, I'm actually buckling down and getting some videos edited out.
Get after it. And then
I'm just impressed that you're not sitting on the side of the highway right now.
That's what I said. He's in a chair.
Very true.
He's indoors.
I'm about an hour away from home right now. Yeah, so I still gotta. I'll get off here and then drive all the way home, eat supper, and go to bed.
And then
that's exactly what I'm fixing to do.
Hound on the Run has his own YouTube channel and podcast. And
that's right.
One of these days, he's going to invite me to be on his podcast, I think.
Oh, he already invited Cody just now. He sold you out, Brett.
He keeps sneaking around me. I don't think he wants me to be on it.
Playing hard to get.
No, I already invited you on, and you accepted the invite. I just have to schedule it. Obviously, I was late for this. You know how I am.
You got to schedule it. I'm a very busy man. You need to schedule it. I got to see, just have your people get in contact with my people, and we'll see if we can make it happen.
Yeah. His scheduling is, let's do it Sunday. And I say, are we doing it Sunday? And he says, I got to put up a fence now for the neighbor. So then we have to do it Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, I got too many things going on.
Busy people.
The question I have, Nick, is if me and Brett decide to load South Texas walkers up and come to Oregon so that he can film my dogs in that timber, can you guide us on a Bobcat?
1,000%. That sounds amazing.
We're on our way. We went to Oklahoma once already.
Yeah.
We got plenty of Bobcats here.
Alan Listdahl over in Minnesota. He wants me and Brett to bring my dogs out and snow hunt in Minnesota this
guys week. all we need is a GoFundMe account.
Yeah.
The Houndsman's Travel Fund.
Cody might not need it, but I just retired. I'm on a fixed income.
Cody, have your dogs hunted in snow before?
A time or two.
Nah, they won't even get out of the dog box.
Yeah, they
it ain't no 100 degrees. What are we doing?
These dogs know. I mean, they've been they've been where there was a little snow.
You should never listen to a South Texan talk about snow. I mean,
that's the dew that freezes on the ground.
Yeah,
just a little bit of snow.
Brett got mad at me. We're driving around Oklahoma, and I say we're over there in the mountains, and Brett, those aren't mountains, Cody.
That's what I was thinking. Like, because here, I mean, where we hunt here, it's crazy. I mean, it's super steep. So you're either going up or down, up or down, up or down. There's no flat anything where we hunt. So how do you think your dogs would adapt to climbing? Because they're having to climb a lot.
If you want Cody there, tell him his dogs can't hunt it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can do it. I don't know. I don't know if a South Texas dog could hunt an Oregon Bobcat. I don't know. I'm not convinced.
I will tell you the same thing I told everybody else. If there's one person on this planet that don't mind making a fool out of himself, it's me. So
nice.
if someone says that these South Texas dogs can't do it, we'll load them up and go find out. And not for not for glory reasons, not for arrogant, just because I want to know. I want to see. I want to see what they do. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way my dogs would locate in a 150-foot tall pine tree. I don't. I don't think they would. But I'd sure like to go find out. I'd like to give the dogs the opportunity.
I think it would be a very good experiment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dadgum, it's a long ways away.
Yeah. Oregon.
It's a little far.
Hey, same thing for Virginia. Or January and February would be an awesome time to run bobcat dogs around here.
You got bobcats over there?
Oh, yeah.
Like a kid in a candy shop.
What we need is we need about 500 supporters to donate $10.
Easy.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need something to have a fund to just not to make money at, just to pay expenses to go and film it.
Right, if everyone on the stream right now gives us like $100, let's say like $1,000. All 41 of you just give us $1,000. We're gonna make this happen.
Yeah,
I promise.
In a few years.
In more than one state.
Yeah. But no.
Yeah, there needs to be like some epic like hound hunting documentary that ends up on Netflix or something. I feel like that needs to happen.
Cody and I already started with the Oklahoma hunt. I mean, that was it was going into planning for, I mean, how many years, Cody? I mean, it took quite a while to make it happen for us both to get there.
That started with me getting pissed off at that book writing guy from Oregon, Nick.
Oh,
David Pittigaw. Anyways, that's what started all of that. But that's what started us talking about it. That didn't have nothing to do with us going. But that's what started me and Brett talking about it years ago and filming it. And that's what kind of brought the idea up of, hey, let's take these dogs, and not just my dogs, anybody's dogs, and change their geographic location and see how they do. And because I'm a big believer that if I hunted in different places and different, so many people, and there's some people from the Southeast that have reputations for being, fairly ignorant and when it comes to stuff like that, but our dogs are the best and they're the best everywhere, and blah, blah, blah. And I know dogs can be the best everywhere. Just like my dogs, I bet they wouldn't locate a single cat where Nick lives, and so but it's interesting to see that you need different dogs in different areas, but also why, what different dogs do you need and why do you need different dogs? And that's what's interesting for me to see, if I were to hunt in Oklahoma where we went and filmed that hunt, if I was going to hunt there consistently and only there, I would not have my dogs. I would have different dogs than what I have if I was going to live there and hunt. And
that's crazy for me to hear that, because like I've been to Texas. I think I've driven through Oklahoma. I picture Texas and Oklahoma as being exactly the same.
Oh no.
No.
South Texas, where he's from, that's
Desert,
a different
right?
world. That's a totally different world down there. I mean, even
I just picture it being hot and flat and boring.
Yeah. We were in the mountains.
Let's pick a fight so he comes to your state.
No, actually, we went. I was on a road trip. We drove through the Wichita Mountains in Oklahoma.
Is that where did we hunt, Cody?
Hell, I don't know.
It was
Oklahoma.
It was in
Southeast
Oklahoma is where we hunted. Yeah. And then I don't think I came back and I interviewed an old time bobcat hunter, Hootie Shaw.
Oh, where's the Hootie Shaw interview? Alan Listall asked me to ask you where the Hootie Shaw y'all interviewed it.
I need to put it up.
Where's the Hoody Shaw interview?
He's been saying that. He's been saying that for 2 months.
I'll put it up on this channel. I got way behind, guys, and then I was hoping some podcast company would come through and say, "Here, we're going to pay you for this stuff," and because I like to do these with us young guys online, but to do these old guys, you got to go to them. You just got to go sit down with them and set it up, and there's a cost involved in that, and it needs to be worthwhile. I mean, people need to think that it's worthwhile, I guess, enough. I always thought the businesses should kind of kick up and say, here, this podcast is brought to you by Garmin, and kick in some money to make that happen. But I thought if I did enough of them, that maybe that would happen. But they haven't been knocking on my door. So.
But yeah, I would have a different type of dog there, and I think that's cool. Like if we were to go to Oregon and hunt, I would look at that and then I could make up my mind about what I would have different, and I've hunted with a few West Coast treeing walkers. I haven't been around very many of them, just a handful. And I was surprised at their rigging capability, and I was surprised at their starting cats and trailing capability. They did real good, so it's pretty neat to see different areas and see what's good and what's bad.
Another cat related question here in the East Coast. I'm not a cat hunter really, so I don't have an opinion on it. But I've heard some of the guys talking about different areas. The cats will actually differ as far as you can go to one area and you'll tree cats. You go to other areas and it's the same cat, but you will not tree. You'll catch them on the ground every time.
100%. South Texas is like that all over.
Those cats in Oklahoma, there was plenty of trees for them to climb, and Cody caught them both on the ground. Neither one climbed.
Yeah.
So I wonder, what is it? Have you figured out anything?
No.
Huh.
Short answer. I've spent a lot of time.
Yeah, I was always surprised. I was talking with Ben Sheets from the Tree Talking Time podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
And he was telling me, because he tried getting his dogs on bobcats, I think, and he was saying that up there in the Northeast, they do not tree at all. Like, those dogs are baying up the bobcat on the ground, and it doesn't seem like here you'll catch them on the ground, and kill them. Whereas what he was saying in the Northeast, like they got these big, massive tanker bobcats, like these big cold weather bobcats, and they bay them up, and they never go up a tree. And there's plenty of trees. Like, that blew my mind.
If they just had a few more dogs, they could
just
not
a couple
pay
more
dogs.
A couple more from South Texas.
I think that's our ending line. If we just had one more dog, we just keep going.
Okay, guys. Well, that was good. I enjoyed that.
Enjoyed it, Chris, George, Nick. It was a pleasure to meet y'all, man.
Same here.
I enjoyed it, and I'll talk to y'all when I get back from my little adventure. We'll see if I learn anything over there on the other side of the pond.
Be interesting.
Definitely. Have a great trip. That's going to be amazing.
Don't get ate by a leopard.
I think Brett is secretly hoping that I'll get eaten by a leopard.
Make a good video.
Only if you film it.
Running while it happens.
Only if you film it.
Just think of the views you would get.
Man. Yeah.
Yep.
They say those suckers will come get you, though.
Yeah.
Bro, those things are not messing around.
Mm-mm.
I have not been hunting. My dogs have been in a pen for 3 months, and that is embarrassing for me to say.
Shame.
Cody and I both. I don't know what happened to us in Oklahoma, but when we both got home, we both got sick, and not with the same thing. They thought Cody had a cancer on him, and then me, I had my stupid heart went bananas again with that. Oh, it's the way I was born, and so Cody's getting his fixed, and they're still testing me.
So a little lesson to the hunters out there. March 1st, I started going to the doctors. I had a bump come up on my chest right here, and there's a little video thing, and it got at its prime was about a tennis ball cut in half, shoved right under my skin. Almost the size of, well, not my fist, but anyways, doctors diagnosed me with soft tissue sarcoma cancer, and it was a bad experience, man, and wasn't looking good. Finally got some other tests done, and they couldn't tell what it was. It got sent to a special lab in Michigan, and it came back as a rare form of cold abscess caused by a tick-borne illness. And they've been pumping doxycycline through me like candy. And but yeah, for about a month, I was told I had soft tissue. They were going to cut my chest plate out and lose the use of my right arm, and I mean it was nasty, and I wouldn't wish that on my enemy. So I didn't get to hunt for about 2 months. I was sick and lost a bunch of weight, and then the doctors told me, sorry, we
Just
messed
kidding.
up. But and you're so happy to hear that you're not even mad at them. Yeah, but then my dogs had been sitting for 2 months, and now it's 114 degrees, and my dogs were just too out of shape to go hunting at that point. So they've been laid up, but I've been cutting their feed, and I'm going to take them a couple days this week before I get going, and we get a little rain. Tate can hunt them a couple days, but yeah, 3 months and dogs haven't hunted. And that's a lifetime record. And I did have a litter of pups born yesterday too, so that's kind of exciting. Yeah,
good deal.
But anyways,
all right,
appreciate it, guys.
Want to press. All right, guys. Thanks for coming by. I enjoyed it. I think everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Brett.
Did. You bet, guys. We'll do it again.
Yep.
Monday nights. Anybody who's available, we'll think of somebody else. Maybe we could get somebody else as a special guest, so you guys can grill them.
Sounds good.
You need to get old Rez. Hounds.
We'll get Rez Hounds. Yep.
There we go.
Up there.
Perfect.
Get him on here. Sounds good, guys.
All right, guys.
We'll see you. Thank you.
Next Monday.
All right. See y'all later.